Hi, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the TrekCulture podcast. I am one of your hosts, Sean Ferry.
I'm Paul Sutherland.
And joining us this week, we are very, very lucky to say that we have the wonderful, the bubbly, the frankly scary, talented Marcus Bronzy. Marcus, man, how are you getting on?
I'm feeling great after an introduction like that from you boys. Anyway, I'm on the TrekCulture podcast. How's it going?
Well, I'm pretty excited. This is like, yes, it's finally come together, the trifecta. I'm delighted with this.
Yes, here to cause chaos. By the end of this episode, you will be atting me with rage after the things I have to say. And I don't even know what I'm about to say yet. Oh, yeah.
Sean can give you some pointers on how to handle that.
That is true. That is terrifying, but that's great. That's cool. That's why we call it fix it in post.
Yeah, so, fix it in
post. All right. So, question to the room: Discovery. Did you watch it this week?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, let's leave it to Marcus. Huh?
Hell yeah, I watched Discovery this week. I watched the heck out of it. I'll be totally honest with you though. I haven't managed to get my full second watch through. I usually before we do this, I do like to do a second watch through. So I am 1.5 times into the episode, the first part of the 2 episodes that we're going to be watching over the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Well, I'm just curious where you left off and why.
Oh no, it wasn't a why. It was just because I didn't have enough time. I believe. Oh God, I don't even know where I left off. I don't know because I've watched it twice. I'll be honest with you, but I will let you take lead, and I am ready to roll. I've watched enough to have a reasonable input, but I will let you guys take it forward, and I'll jump in and pop in here and there as I'm.
So we're talking about Terra Firma Part 1.
Yes.
Did you have any better insight about who Carl is?
You asking me?
Yeah, on the second watch. I assume you got to the Carl part.
Yeah, of course. I mean, look, Burnham demanding the Carl help, right? I mean, look, if you look at it from face value, the first thing that screams out to me is Q, right? That's the first thing that screams out to me. When I see the level of omnipotence immediately from somebody who's sitting looking like they are not cold at all in a clearly very cold environment, right? Immediately, I feel that this is somebody that is not really there, or if they are there, they have a strength that is beyond mine, and I've not beyond anything that's fathomable. And I've not seen anyone like that since we have seen our dear Q or anyone from the Q continuum. That's where I stand at the moment. Do you guys have any knowledge or anything that can lead us in that direction to give us more of a hint of that? Or is it someone else that we're dealing with? Because there are different types of omnipotence.
I mean, you're right that it looked a lot like how they portrayed the Q Continuum in Voyager's Death Wish when Janeway and Tuvok go to the Q Continuum. Looked a lot like that, but the clues seem to indicate that Carl might be the Guardian of Forever, you mentioned it in Ups and Downs. But Sean, you got the name of Carl's newspaper wrong.
Oh no, and I wouldn't mind. It was there in my head. It's the Star Dispatch. I think I called it the Telegraph.
Right. And where is the Star Dispatch from?
Well, the Star Dispatch is from, it's a little known episode. You probably wouldn't have heard of it. City on the Edge of Forever. So, kind of well known, you know, Spock and Kirk go back, Edith Keeler must die. Kind of feel bad for poor old John Collins. But yeah, 100%. So, and of course, in that episode, all the way back 1960, 66, 67, written by Harlan Ellison, I must throw out there because he's an amazing writer. The Kirk and Spock and McCoy travel through this time portal, the Guardian of Forever, which basically has whatever control over time. Yeah, but from what we've seen, the Guardian of Forever is a big circle. So this would be the first time that we would have seen, obviously, the Guardian being a person. But it seems like too much of a Easter egg for it not to have a connection.
Yeah, though, you know, you mentioned Harlan Ellison. He's famously litigious, so maybe he's not the Guardian of Forever. He's like the Guardian of, you know, all time or something generic, you know.
I like it. I don't know. See, I initially would have been the same as yourself, Marcus. My first inclination was, oh, are we getting the Q? But then I don't know, in that newspaper, there just kept being more and more little Easter eggs. Someone's done some great breakdowns of what's in that. Paul, I think you were sharing with us the other day a breakdown of the Easter egg. What turned up in the paper again?
There's a mention of the Janolan from Relics being lost. There is a mention of Edith Keeler's soup kitchen. There's some Bajoran and Vulcan text on the newspaper, and there's also a mention of the Takan supernova from the last outpost.
So what are we getting from that, guys? So what are we drawing from that then? What are you concluding from those pieces being on the paper? Is there, because they're clearly clues that are left out for us to pick up?
That Edith Keeler gets called out, and it's called the Stardust, but that's 2 Easter eggs in there for City on the Edge. I wonder, that would support the Guardian theory, I think.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Okay, then. So that's where we're leaning towards. All right. Interesting, guys. All right. I'm with you. I've been swayed.
Excellent. Cool. We could solve all wars with just these kind of conversations. I love it. That's great. So there's 2 Easter eggs, which means this wins. Done. Grand.
Obviously, though, that's not like the major Easter egg from the episode. We talked a little bit about it last week, but you're the temporal agent or time soldier.
Absolutely. I mean, like, again, I know we've seen it before, but Marcus, did you have a little moment of when not only did we get a TNG uniform, but like that whole scene? How was that for you?
I mean, now that I'm in the knowledge of the adjustment of the badge, obviously, it took a little bit of the edge off it. But the fact that we managed to see that kind of tie-in was, do you know what? People don't give enough credit for when you manage to tie in different universes, because when you split things and jump into different timelines, and we are blessed. We're in the presence of someone from the Kelvin timeline right now, Sean. Yeah, it's hard to tie these back together, and I was impressed. This is a slight digression at the way Lower Decks managed to tie in other parts of the Trek universe to make sure that we know that this is solidly part of lore. Now that they've managed to tie this in, I was like, okay, cool. So now you've actually given us some real value in terms of the direction that the temporal war is going in or has gone in, and you've actually managed to tie up stuff that they, Enterprise left a few holes, that I think now we're actually have the potential to fill in with Disco if they decide to allocate enough time with it. And time is something that I'm going to mention a few times in this podcast, because time is running out with regards to the season. So what they decide to fill in terms of holes in plots and points to fill out, we're going to find out in a moment. But I was excited. I was impressed. We saw the badge switch. I've seen it before and after, but I think it was a nice tie-in, and it did make me think, okay, all right, that's where we're going with this now.
Yeah, honestly, it's a little confusing. It's hard to tell whether Yor is disguised in a TNG era uniform or somehow in the Kelvin timeline they adopted that uniform late. But speaking of tying in other universes, I was really impressed by the surprise twist in Terra Firma Part 1 that the bulk of the episode was taking place in the mirror universe, in the past.
Yeah, same. I mean, I had no indication, no spoilers that it was coming, so it was a proper surprise when she goes through the door. And I think it makes sense for Georgiou, because if you think of how her story has gone, I don't know if it'll end in the mirror universe, but obviously it very much starts in the mirror universe. And we can see already that she's such a changed character. It's nearly a mirror of her mirror universe as well.
I got some feelings about the mirror universe and the way the show has been using Georgiou. I have never been a huge fan of the mirror universe. Some of the individual episodes have been fun. I did not love the second half of Discovery's first season, which was, set almost entirely in the mirror universe, taking a already dark series and taking it to a literally dark place. That for me wasn't the best way to get to know those characters. I tend to find the mirror universe to be mostly camp and not that revealing of the characters, despite everyone saying, what does it say about yourself if your mirror version, your mirror counterpart is so evil and so ruthless? What do you guys think about the mirror universe? Am I crazy for hating the fun of seeing people stab each other?
I think the point of the mirror universe is to remind us why the Federation exists in its form, or why it did, because obviously in Discovery we're in a time when the Federation isn't what it was. So that's the point. It's to remember how good things could be, and what if things went differently. I mean, and one thing that stands out to me about the mirror universe is the inconsistencies, and that's kind of taken the edge off it. One of them being light. Like, are we just going to pretend that that's not a problem anymore? We're just, because there's lens flares all over the place. I mean, we ain't J.J. Abrams level of lens flare in Discovery, but there's lens flares everywhere. There's light, and we've just forgotten about this whole fact that Terrans are meant to be not very fond of bright light. And then, I think like Paul alluded to, slapping a bit of eyeliner on Stamets, does that really make him evil, or is it distracting? You know what I mean? Like, do we just, is it something that we need? And I think it's very close, if they're not careful, to becoming a parody of itself, which I think it has been at times. Let's be honest, some of the evilness has been quite hammed up when we've seen the mirror universe, but Disco's got to be very careful with his tone now, because they've their version of Trek is we're slightly more serious, we're slightly more in our emotions. So therefore, if we're in a mirror universe, we need emotions to be flipped. Oh, well, now there was somebody in the mirror universe who I thought was very intimidating, kicking ass, quite literally, in this episode. And then also you got Tilly, who I think she was played very well. I think the fact that she's so jovial, fun, stumbling over her shoes in the Prime universe, or their Prime, as Giorgio kind of explained very clearly. But then when you flip over and see the mirror universe version of her, you see Killy. You actually see somebody who is delightfully enjoying being evil. And I find that very scary as well. So I think there's elements that really, really work in terms of character, but I think that there's holes that, there's things that they just said that we've forgotten about in season 1, like the light thing. And then there's just like this potential where it could go wrong. I feel your worry, Paul. I'm not at this stage yet. I'm not at that level, but I think, like, play it carefully now. Like, how are we going to explain this universe? How's this universe going to connect back to Prime, or is it just going to be something that pops out once in a while to keep us on our toes and make sure that we enjoy Starfleet for being Starfleet? That's my take on the matter right now. I don't think I'm as angry about it as you, Paul, but I see where you're going.
Well, not angry. That's Mirror Paul. Mirror Paul's angry
okay,
about
cool.
Prime Universe.
Cool. Oh, sorry, I should notice you haven't got eyeliner on, so sorry.
But you're right, though, that the Mirror Universe is often slipped into parody. I'm thinking of the way it's depicted in Star Trek Enterprise, which is very campy. And a lot of the Deep Space Nine episodes, they were played for fun. The fun of seeing how murderous our beloved characters can be. And you're also right that there's a couple of changed premises as far as the Mirror Universe is concerned, even in the way that Discovery has established it, with the fact that they genetically can't see bright light. But I thought there's another aspect that I was convinced that Discovery was leaving in the rearview mirror, which is the fact that Giorgio is a murderous dictator. I thought that season 2 was, geared in part towards rehabilitating the character, making her seem less outright evil and more oh, she's got jokes, she's snarky, she's just, ill-tempered. And to my surprise, and I did really like Terra Firma despite not liking the Mirror Universe, I appreciated that it's clear that they're trying to rehabilitate the character more than just hand-waving away maybe, whatever genocides she's committed in the past.
Kelpians she's eaten in the past, like sushi. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, Doug Jones is a tasty snack. I'm just throwing that out there.
The things he can do with his legs, but this is not an adult podcast. But I totally am with you. And I mean, the fact that there were some really interesting points there, and I said it very jovially, the way that we saw her eat Kelpian and the way that Michael was tricked into picking the Kelpian to eat in previous seasons. And now we had that that could have been such a big moment where we see Mirror Universe Saru, that moment where she first recognizes him. I feel like they could have bitten down on that more. And because of the problems that you've highlighted here, this is what is she, Paul? Is she dictator that is going to be a dictator for life, or is she somebody who's actually had some, like rehabilitation? And I feel like we need a bit more guidance, and she needs to be clearer where she is, because there were some big moments there. I mean, that relationship with Saru could have been a bit, there could have been a bit more to it. Do you know what I mean? The conversation that they had, I don't know, like, I don't know, something was missing there for me. I can't quite put my finger on it. Maybe I'll get it in a minute.
Yeah, it was hard to say what's missing because we have a whole other half of the episode to watch, right?
Yeah, that's true. Good point. It's the other half. Oh,
yeah, maybe they'll address that. Yeah. But like, I was really racking my brain trying to think about concrete evidence of Giorgio's murderousness. And yeah, she eats Kelpians, and she specifically had Saru slaughtered before. Now going backwards in time and presumably saving Saru from the chef. But other than destroying the rebel base on Harlak in The Wolf Inside, I believe, in the first season, there aren't real like concrete examples of Giorgio, killing people en masse in the way that we all kind of assume that she would have had to have done as the emperor of this, of this regime. And one of the plot points from season 1 was that Lorca didn't think that Giorgio's regime was like fascist enough. And now in Terra Firma, we see that Mirror Michael says that Giorgio is too soft, like that Giorgio is already soft even before she's supplanted by the Giorgio that we know and kind of love from the future. So, I'm picking up on not just an attempt to rehabilitate the character as we know, but to kind of rewrite her history and say she's a lot better, she's a lot nicer than we might have imagined she was.
So then, actually, on that point, do you reckon that I suppose I want to phrase this nicely. Do you reckon that there's a deliberate attempt to maybe take a few shortcuts toward making her a good character? Or do you feel that there's enough in the show that hand waving's not going to cut it?
I think it's a combination of hand waving, retcons, and actual legitimate character growth before we get to presumably section 31.
I think things tend to be going that way. There's something that we will address when we get to the news segment, but about potentially section 31 and future seasons of Discovery. So I think you might be hitting on a point there. And Marcus, as you said as well, this is very much part 1 of 2. So it feels like even though the bulk of the episode is spent in the Mirror Universe, we haven't really seen enough yet. I suppose my question going into Terra Firma part 2 would be, is this in fact the Mirror Universe that we saw in season 1? Because already things have happened that will change the history of that universe and of what Discovery experienced in that universe. Did you guys pick up on or have any thoughts about that?
So you're speaking about further fractionation, like we're looking at a totally different universe here then? Is that where you're going?
Potentially. I suppose my first example being Stamets, because Stamets, and Paul, I believe you said this off air, that Stamets he helped Discovery in some way, but now he's not there to help Discovery. So what does that mean for timelines?
And this is what I think and just to repeat what Paul said, this is where we need the second half of the episode to find out how they're going to play that, because with time travel, literally you have to decide which way you're going to go. But because of the tweaks that they've made to the way that we've addressed the characters in the Mirror Universe, I don't know whether they're going to stay true to form or whether it's going to be this is a totally different universe, or whether what we do will have actual implications in the Prime. I don't know, because we're not just talking dimensional travel, we're talking time travel. Man, it's we're not quite at head spinning too much, but I think we're at danger of kind of getting thrown into a spiral of cyclical craziness with time travel and dimensional moves if they do split into another universe. I really hope we don't. I think we've got enough. I think we've got enough on our plate. I'm the second time I mentioned it. I think we're far enough into the season where we don't need another hook like that. I think we need some resolutions to happen. And I think these need to happen in the second half of this episode.
Yeah, Discovery doesn't seem, it kind of gets skin deep with its sci-fi concept. So I'm not imagining that they're going to play with like causality loops or temporal paradoxes.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Michael is her mum. No, I won't.
Michael is her own mother.
It's happened before, guys. We've seen it on other shows.
100%.
Yeah, cool.
I think, well, as we have another part of the episode, as in another part 2 to come, I think we'll have to pick up a lot of these threads that we've put down in next week's episode. So fingers crossed that it doesn't go into some mad view askew universe. But what we might do now is cover some of the news that has come out over the last few days.
For over 2 centuries, you're listening to the Federation News Network.
Okay, so lots of news to get through, but one of the lovely pieces of news is a gift that has come from the wonderful, wonderful Marcus and his wonderful, wonderful podcast, How to Kill an Hour.
Yeah, that's right, man. It's a podcast that is definitely less Trek than this, but we actually managed to have a conversation with the wonderful David Ajala, aka Book from Discovery, and we spoke about loads of stuff, but we obviously spoke about Trek as well. And with the news of David Cronenberg saying he's going to renew for season 4, I thought it's only right I put some pressure on him and see if we can make some diamonds. He's been asking for a bit more from the show, his character in the show. He's been asking to be around a bit more, and I can see Book becoming a character who could be part of the crew. I mean, I'm just going to say it straight. Are we going to get an announcement for you for season 4 yet? Are we allowed to say that yet or not? Can we get anything from you, David?
We'll have to see.
Ah, okay. All right.
I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. Who knows?
Okay.
Could be in it. We have to see, man.
I'm looking at David's face if you're just listening to the podcast. He doesn't look sad right now. He looks happy. That's all I'm saying. He's smiling. He's not winked at all. He has winked, but it was just a blink because he's winking with both eyes at the same time. So I'm not going to read anything at all. Try to dazzle him with words to try and get something out of him. But there's 3 things you can say when you're asked, no, I can't say anything, or yes. He didn't say no. He didn't say no. All right.
I will take that. I will take that.
There we go. So yeah, it'd be nice to see a bit more of Book, man. I think his race has been quite interesting to look at throughout Discovery. Would be nice to see some more of him. Another character, we've had a bit of time with him. Would love a bit more time to get a bit further into him. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah, they haven't used Book much. They haven't used Book enough to kill him off yet. So I'm expecting him to come back for season 4. I was surprised that Cronenberg was so free in admitting that he's going to be back for season 4, which I think he said to Variety, correct?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, look, if he talks, I think it's on authority. Do you know what I mean? I think he definitely got the sign off to drop that. I don't know. Maybe it's the director in him that meant that he could do that to the guys. But yeah,
I was actually wondering about that as well. It's like Cronenberg comes with clout.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Oh yes, I'm doing this. David, that's not actually what we just. Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's
fine.
Cool.
That's fine. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, and I look forward to seeing more from him as well. I mean, obviously, I know you guys have been waxing lyrical, even about his potential direction and who he may or may not be as Discovery continues in season 4.
I saw a theory. Now I think it pops. Let's try that again in English. I saw a theory that is possibly just a theory, but it actually ties back into something, Marcus, that you suggested in the first part of this episode, which was Star Trek Enterprise left a lot of threads dangling, right? And Manny Koto obviously just wasn't a fan of the temporal Cold War, and that's why it got wrapped up so quickly. We never found out who the shadowy guy from the future was. Now, I assume that back in 2004, 2005, they didn't have David Cronenberg on retainer. But what's to say with a little bit of healthy retconning?
It's feasible. It's feasible. it's feasible. It's feasible to tie it in. He's obviously a character who has knowledge that is way vaster than he has shared with Giorgio, who I think he's kind of given the most to, and with us, the audience. I mean, we've not seen any sneaky goings on where we can add 2 and 2 together and make, Raptagino. Do you know what I mean? There's nothing. He's not even given us anything that we can work with. So he's shrouded in mystery, and he's a character that I'm happy that we've not seen much of. I like the mystery there. I want to know more. I really want to know, what are you doing? You seem a little bit too calm whilst all of this nonsense is going on. There's everybody's supposed to be feeling the stress. You are somebody who has this unnerving easiness about themselves. So yeah, I think there's a possibility where they could tie that in. Because we only saw, what did we see? We just saw a silhouette and a shadow, didn't we? Really, that was all we saw in Enterprise. So yeah, it could be him. Could sign it, and it was just like a modulated voice. So it could be him. Very much could be him. Sullivans are gonna be coming to Discovery. No, I'm not gonna put that. Who knows?
I'm here for it.
So I don't need everything to tie together like that, tie that cleanly. I'd rather Kovic be his own dude. Right. I would love, though, if maybe they found a way to get him into the Section 31 show. However, I want to know what your guys' take on this is. My prediction for the end of Terra Firma Part 2 is that Giorgio is going to stick around in the 23rd century, whether it's the Mirror Universe or not. And that's how she's going to get to her own spinoff and to potentially reconnect with Shazad Latif, who is Ash Tyler, who is, I guess, head of Section 31, where we left him. And they're going to go do their own show. What do you guys think about that?
Woo, that's spicy. Go on, Sean. What are you thinking about that? I love that, by the way. Woo.
That's like I love that, because that would track. She is, if this is the Mirror Universe, she's in the 23rd century. So I say all she needs to do, but all she needs to do is hop universe, which in Star Trek is not really that much of an ask, so getting back over will be fine. And she could also bring news to Ash Tyler, who obviously doesn't publish, Section 31 doesn't go to whatever the contemporary Star Dispatch newspapers and says, here's what our news updates are. So Section 31 could be well under or have news of Discovery in the future, and they know that they made it and they know that everything's fine. Which is why potentially Kovic is so cool when it came to Giorgio arriving with him, because he was just waiting for her the whole time.
Cool.
Well, now you're getting into twisting, parallel universes and time travel and continuity.
This is it. My head's starting to explode. I mean, I'm going to be slightly less fantastic than you guys about it. I think it's very clear that she's aware that if she goes back to what we know as the Prime, she's destined to die if she stays in that timeline. And because we've seen that she's starting to break apart. I mean, the poor lady couldn't even pick up a glass of wine. Damn it. So I think I know. I mean, that would make me very angry. I mean, to be fair, I just want to say, I don't think it was nice to throw a dinner over Tilly, but if I couldn't pick up a drink and somebody came over and was like, "Hi, have my food." Anyway, so I think we might be looking at a slightly more simple explanation. I think we have the realization that she can't go back. So yes, she will stay in the Mirror Universe. I think we may, from what we've seen from the first episode, see more of her finding out how similar Michael is in this other universe to the Prime universe and how close they really are. So yes, on the outside, Michael is like, you're weak, so you must die. But I feel like there's some more to be had. I feel like there's a dilemma, a situation, something that's going to come in and complicate things. And we're going to really find out what their relationship's made out of. And whatever Giorgio decides to do in that pinch point moment is really going to affect her character, whether or not she goes off to do a Section 31 spin-off, which would be so badass. So much black uniforms and black badges. But I won't go there because I can talk about that all day. I think they look so... You can't deny Section 31 looks so cool. That is the coolest part of Starfleet. Yeah, they're bad and off the books. Anyway, I digress. But I think it's going to be that. And I think maybe we know that Michael Burnham's safe in the Prime universe. Is Michael Burnham going to be safe in the Mirror Universe? And that is something that they can play with. We know that Burnham can't die in the Prime. I'm going to be right on the head of it. could she die in the mirror universe? Because that would be something that would affect Giorgio for a very long time. That could protect her. Sorry, Paul.
Sorry, no, I interrupted you. I just want to know, I'm sorry to interject here with a totally off topic.
Okay, cool.
I just want to know which version of Lorca is definitely showing up in Terra Prime Part 2.
Do you know what? It would have been easy. Shine a torch in his eyes. Yeah, would have been able to find it out straight away. All right. Then we'd find out whether we've got the consistent version studio or the non-consistent. Oh, sorry, that was a really unfair answer. Sorry about that. sorry, Sean. I know you wanted to talk there. I know that was unfair, but yeah, go on, Sean.
No, like I'm jumping in straight away. We are definitely. I really hope this comment doesn't age like milk, but we are definitely getting Lorca this week. Okay, and of course, if we don't, next week you'll hear me say we were never getting Lorca. That was never happening. I think it'll be Lorca Prime just because we've already seen Mirror Lorca.
Okay,
you know what I mean? They've done that character already. Not to say that they won't do it again. Obviously, we have all of the Discovery crew, but I think because there's such a dangling thing.
Just to clarify, we never saw Lorca Prime die, did we?
Never,
ever. We've never seen Lorca Prime.
But I mean, my thinking was, and like, okay, so this podcast is gonna drop like the day before the next episode airs, so it's like gonna have like a real great shelf life here. But my expectation, or like, if I was writing the episode instead of writing about the episodes, I would have Giorgio save Prime Lorca, who would have otherwise died in the Mirror Universe. Cornwell said like there's no way he could have survived in the Mirror Universe, so that's Giorgio's task now, is to rescue Prime Lorca from her own universe, and the two of them can cross over, and Giorgio can go to the Section 31 show, and Prime Lorca can go to Strange New Worlds.
I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
It's a nice tidy tie-up.
I like it. Needs no comment.
No, I like it because what it's done is it's brought our news segment where all news should go, which is to wild speculation. And so I think we'll cap news here because I think we've strayed slightly off the topic of what could be verified. And as I say, isn't that just news these days?
Exactly. I mean, we are official press right now.
100%.
We're official right now. Let's just make statements and put them out there.
Troy is the new emperor.
Fact. Done. Neelix came back as an evil chef and time traveled and decided to be a better wedge than Booker is at the moment before they give him more lines. All right, that's unfair. Right, let's carry on.
For over 2 centuries, the Federation News Network.
So Marcus, you're joining us for the first time. I don't know if you watched our previous 2 podcasts, but we have a little game where we choose anything from the Star Trek universe to jettison into space to get rid of. Obviously, you can, I would obviously take the Mirror Universe and just get rid of that. But this is Cargo Bay 101. So think about your answer.
So you've just said, Paul, thank you for this opportunity, by the way. You've just given me a whole universe, potentially, that you would put in Cargo Bay 101. Am I right in thinking that, right?
Anything goes. I mean, it's a huge cargo bay, man.
I mean, a universe is literally, is everything. Is anything.
I'm sorry, and Giorgio was the genocidal one.
Sean put a whole starship in there last time, so.
Yeah, the ship.
Oh man. So we've had a whole starship, we've had whole universes potentially put in there. The item that I would like to put in, it's so small, but it's something that, and I think you have got the gist by now, Paul, because it's the first time me and Paul have had a proper chat, by the way. We've spoken to each other via other ways of communicate. But I'm a very
retweet, I think.
Yeah, the retweet, that counts. That's communication. I'm very trivial. And I would like to remove not the real person, the actor, a part of a character. And that part I'd like to remove is a very well-known Klingon who we first saw in the episode Reunion, I think. And that is Chancellor Gowron. Not the whole of him, just those eyes. Those eyes have got to go. Those strong, powerful. Sean's doing the eyes now. The big poppy-outy eyes now. Those eyes. That's what I want to put. Is that too small to put in there, Chancellor Gowron's eyes?
Those could go right in. But, I mean, those will fit. But I have never disagreed more than right now. Those eyes are amazing. And I thought you were going to say that you were going to put Alexander in there.
No.
While I wanted to tease you for putting a child out the airlock, I also would not have disagreed. So,
but you know what? I mean, if you think about it, there's reasons why this would be a good way for Chancellor Gowron to go. What a glorious way to go, having your eyes sucked out of an airlock, by the way. I just want to say, I mean, as long as they take the rest of his brain with him, it'll be a glorious way to die. It'll be nice and violent, like Klingons want. If he was left blinded, then that wouldn't be nice, because no Klingon wants to be kind of left like that. But yeah, I've just found, you know what? I love Robert O'Reilly. I really love what he does. But I've always found when he is in scenes, some people call it his piercing view. I feel like his eyes are jumping out of the screen and punching me in the eyes whenever he is around. I find it slightly disturbing. I find it distracting. And the thing is, Gowron is a fantastic character. He is part of an era of Klingon that I love. Yeah, like the TNG and Deep Space Nine Klingons. I just love that whole energy. I love what they're like. I love what they're about.
The Pirates of the Caribbean Klingons.
Yeah, man. You know, yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, they want to go out on quests and adventure and live gloriously. It's so hard to focus on those while Gowron's beady eyes are popping out all over the place. And yeah, so, you know, yes, it's something that stands out and people do love about him, but I would like to put Chancellor Gowron's eyes in Airlock 101. I mean, I think it's going to be a no from Paul, but I'm really curious to know how Sean feels about this.
I don't know, because you're not wrong. Like, anytime you see a picture of him, it's like, I feel like if I'm not bringing glory, I'm about to die. Like, even in the there's no quiet scenes really with Gowron. It's all about kind of like, oh, and he has a knife. All right, of course he has a knife. Like, I don't know. Oh,
I mean, O'Reilly himself humorously referred to it as the crazy loon eyeball thing. I'm just saying.
All right, well, you're just completely wrong, but I would like to see him one-up Martok with 2 eye patches, so Sean, go ahead and hit the button.
Yeah, okay. You know what? Based on that entirely. Okay, so
thank you so much.
Gowron down to the deck of Cargo Bay 101, but keep his eyes open and ready to blow, and we're going to hit the Cargo Bay door right now.
Listen, you're going to give him 2 eye patches, Martok once. I'm sorry, that's hilarious.
I mean, like, so on that fairly sadistic ending to the podcast there, where we've just maimed the Chancellor of the Klingon High Council, I think that's a good time to start plugging some socials. Marcus, we're absolutely delighted that you joined us this week, and hopefully this will be the first of many checks in the mail. That is such a lie. Anyway, but, you know,
while we're trying CBS money that we're getting over here at TrekCulture. Yeah, all right.
I can neither. I'm not saying yes, and I'm not saying no. I'm saying I can't talk about it.
Yes, give it a book answer, the David Ajala answer. That's right.
Marcus, where can we find you?
At Marcus Bronzy, MarcusBronzy on all social medias, including TikTok now as well, which I think is an amazing platform. And there are some great fans of Trek out there as well. So if you're not on TikTok and you love everything Trek, that's definitely a social media you need to try. And obviously How to Kill an Hour on all social medias as well, or you can just Google us. That's the podcast where we talk about tech things. And also we had David Ajala on the show.
And you can find me on Twitter at Paul Sutherland. You're going to have to find something to read in order to know how to spell it. And you don't want to follow me on Instagram. I don't have a cat, so...
So we know what Paul wants for Christmas. You can, of course, you can find all of us. You can really get through to us on TrekCulture, on Twitter, on YouTube, which I assume you know, because presumably you're watching this on YouTube. If you're watching this, you can find me at Sean Ferrick on Twitter, and I'm on Instagram as well, but don't bother with them. That's just thirst traps. We will be back for Terra Firma Part 2 next week. It's thank you very much from me.
Thanks.
No thanks from me. Kapla!
Glory to you and your house. Thanks, guys.